are tonight.
Yeah. Your phone?
My phone is checked. Oh.
Yeah.
My phone is checked.
Showing ultimate respect by turning your phone off.
So what's the best thing about podcasting is you can do these impromptu things. And here we are at the Fairmont in Fairmont, Royal York. I guess we got to give them their credit as well too.
I guess we do.
With DJ Dan, the renowned. I think you were like top 5 in the world. Is that top 5?
I've been
10 this year.
Was
it top 10? I saw on your site.
That was in for America.
Well, you know what? In all fairness, for all of us in the communication, how many goddamn DJ polls are there now?
I've been in a million polls, and I've been in a million different places. So I've been high, I've been low.
That's the best thing about actually doing a podcast with you is that the depth and conversation we can have from 1992 LA to where it is now.
Yeah.
Or even being in Toronto.
Totally.
From Toronto, from the first time you came playing for us.
I was just talking about when I came. Remember the first time I came here was in the mid-90s?
Yeah, underground parking garage. We did it.
And I get here and people have got their windows down in their cars. They're just driving around and drum and bass is playing out of their cars. And I remember it blowing my mind because, at that time, even though we had an underground scene in LA and San Francisco, like you never hear, cars in the city playing like drum and bass or breaks or anything like that. It was just, and the scene here was so huge.
Well, that's the cool thing about Toronto in mid-90s. This was 95 when you came the first time.
Yeah.
Is that there was a store at the corner of Queen and John. And Queen West was like the hub of everything alternate lifestyle / unquote cool. And there's a store upstairs at Queen and John above Second Cup called Ecstatic. And that was like rave headquarters for Toronto.
Oh,
and
I remember. Was that where they selling mixtapes and stuff?
Yeah, they sold mixtapes.
Okay.
So the guy, Alan Stevenson, I believe his last name was, he was British. So he would go back home, buy all the AWOL World Dance tape collections.
Yeah.
And bring them back here and dub them off and put his logo on them. And that was his shtick for what was revenue for the guys in the UK. Was his way of promoting them here. So what he would do is he'd promote, so Slipmat's tape would be the hot seller, so he'd finally pull in Slipmat and bring him into one of his shows, Randall. Like that's how we got the full history of drum bass, like Goldie.
That's genius. I love that so many things go back to the mixtape because, that's the mixtape is pretty much responsible for my success.
In Toronto, we worked the shit out of your mixtape.
Yeah, but even for me in the early 90s in LA, like with Ron Decor, he was DJing a lot, but didn't really know how to kind of push himself. But you didn't need to back then. It was word of mouth.
He had the record store too, right?
He hadn't opened his record store yet. But I just moved there. I was like, you know what? Let's do a tape. We'll dub it off and we'll sell it to all the record stores. But we had to do consignment.
Yeah.
So we did the tapes at the record stores. They got so popular that we were selling tapes all over the place in San Francisco. But I usually just use it for credit for records, so that way I could be the record whore that I am. So I could buy down tempo, I could buy techno, I could buy house, I could buy drum and bass, I could buy all the records I wanted to because we had credit on these mixtapes, and it was promoting our name. So the mixtape really has had a lot of responsibility for this music scene,
for sure.
Well,
even to get from the West Coast to a city like Toronto.
Well, exactly. Like I would go.
Even Montreal, like the first time you played in Montreal.
I remember the first time I went to DC, there was a guy selling mixtapes. And I'm like, oh yeah, that guy sells your mixtapes. And I went over there and they were all bootleg mixtapes. Yeah. But it's like, what the hell am I supposed to say? It's not like, it's like, okay, well this guy's got my tape, but he's pushing me, he's pushing my sound, he's pushing the whole thing.
Yeah.
Granted, he's making some money off of it, which is, the profit margin, if it's at like 95 cents to make a tape most, and then you're selling them for 10.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, maybe give me 30%. No, I didn't care. It was just funny because it wasn't my tape cover. Hey, you bootlegged my Kinko's copy tape cover.
You had to get the tapes from LA to this DC without it being downloaded. So somehow it's getting that from there to him.
Well, these are actual physical. There's no downloading yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Nice. So they physically traveled across the border. Somebody's car cranked, probably partying.
92.
And they traded it off probably for another guy's tape.
Yeah, and they
for a Terry Mullen one in Chicago.
Exactly.
Or Bad Boy Bill.
Exactly. And so it was like I wasn't mad at the whole like dubbing them off because that was the way you could promote yourself. But the thing is, at that time, it was all word of mouth. It's like, I got this tape. I like this guy. It wasn't like, oh, I saw this guy has this many followers, or I saw this guy like took out an ad in this. It was, you couldn't do that shit.
Yeah. Should we fuck this guy? He's got 13,000 Instagram followers.
Who cares?
7,000 Twitter followers. And what's the other thing? Snapchat.
I remember, like, especially in San Francisco, like, if somebody would come out with a big record, and they'd be like, "Who cares? If they don't DJ well, we're over it." And I remember they're like, "You don't DJ well. We don't care how big your records are. It doesn't matter." And that's changed.
It's polar opposite now.
And you know what? Actually, it was a constant battle even in the 90s when you were like, this is the key to Dan, and the reason why we have such a deeper relationship is from our parties, what we were pushing was the same thing that Dan was shooting for, is that to put together a party that was solid, get solid people out there, and let the DJs take care of the night.
Yeah.
Not the hype of whoever's got eyeliner on, red hair, and gnocchi, rhymes with gnocchi, from New York, show up and pass out on the decks while they're playing in the night. You know what I mean? The whole night had to flow.
Yeah, and it was such a big deal. It was such a big deal for the night to flow. I remember for like the funky techno tribe parties in San Francisco, we would sit there for an entire week trying to figure out who was going to play when, because it was so important that the flow of the night went well. And usually I would decide. And there would be even times when I'd call, some of the DJs and be like, listen, we really want to go for this psychedelic thing this night. And we kind of were thinking maybe we want to do acid breakbeat with like this disco thing to make it kind of psychedelic and twisted. I mean, we would go so far into it in terms of thinking about the theme of the night. It's just like the last thing anybody thought of was like, what are you going to wear? Like, what are you going to look like? Who fucking cares? It was like, what is the story of the night going to be? And how's that going to flow? And what, and usually at the end of the night, like we'd sit there and be like, oh my God, we completely choreographed this night. And it was amazing.
Yeah. Terrence McKenna would have been proud.
Yeah. But that's why when you brought us here to do Funky Techno Tribe, it was like that as well.
Yeah. 100%.
It was like the flow of it. And I don't think
and that was the underground parking garage where we had 3 levels.
It was 3 levels, like a spiral underground parking garage.
It was when you came in, we had transmissions from San Francisco, and it was dubbed down tempo. And then you walked down to the second level, which was the Funky Techno Tribe room. And then the third level below that was drum and bass and locals. And as you're walking up, it was pretty amazing. What we were doing was trying to emulate what Dan was doing in San Fran.
And it was very, very funky.
393.
It was on. That was one of the most amazing parties I think I've played, and especially because it was in a concrete space, but it still felt very.
We put so much sound in there because of the echo.
But it was sick. That was amazing.
Went from San Francisco to. Well, actually, in Washington. From Washington, you end up in San Fran, and then from San Fran, you went to LA, or was it Washington to LA?
I went from Seattle to Los Angeles. Stayed there for a couple of years. Really got my start there, and definitely blew up in the underground rave scene there. And Ron and I would play 3 and sometimes 4 parties a night on Saturdays, including our after hours we did called No Doze. Yeah. And No Doze. And then and then after the LA riots happened, it just so many things in that city just got so dark and ugly, and just the city became a city I didn't want to live in. You know what I mean? It wasn't just the LA riots, it was just it seemed like the whole city and the whole vibe of the rave scene was heading towards a direction that was really violent and just not peaceful.
What year is this?
This was 93.
So kind of the city actually ended up doing a reset, did it not?
It did.
And out of that came...
And it did a favor to me, too, because I just freaked out and left.
Yeah.
And went to San Francisco and completely flipped my sound. But... I didn't necessarily throw my sound out. I was still playing techno, but I was playing a lot of these records, like the B-sides of these techno records, a lot slower and dubbed out. And that's kind of how I was able to come into a city that was pretty much you could not go into San Francisco at that time and get in as a DJ. Everyone was locked out, and the English guys had a certain sound that you couldn't touch.
The Wicked Crew, right?
The Wicked Crew, yeah.
They don't go.
And, and they were amazing. These guys were playing killer stuff. And so when I came in, I kind of came from this funky side too, but it was a
bit more aggressive.
A little bit more aggressive and dirtier and, and just kind of twisted, I was mixing things together that, you wouldn't imagine going together, but it did. And so I kind of got my way in through that. And
what were some of your favorite records from that time period? If you can remember, as a DJ Dan fan, which I am, and
mm-hmm.
there's some of us still out there that I still play every now and again, but I'll only play vinyl. And funny enough, that's coming back. So guys like me that have been hunting down those records over the years still have, even like the Twin Hype record that you used to scratch up.
Oh, right.
So what were some of your favorite tracks?
I'd say...
Because there are some that guys are still looking for.
Remember that label? I know, right? Remember that label Tam Tam?
Yeah.
I used to love everything off that label was good.
Yeah.
It's the Silver Bullet stuff.
Yeah.
Remember that double pack, No Hassle from the Man? It was a Thomas record.
No, I don't remember that one.
Oh my God, that record! I begged Thomas, No Hassle from the Man. I begged him for that record for like 2 years and could never find it. And when it finally came out, I just freaked out and bought like 4 copies of it.
Jeez.
Remember that Talking About Power?
Yeah.
That's still one of my favorites. I don't know, man. You know what's weird now? Like, because I still buy records, but now I'm more obsessed with finding old disco and funk records that I never had.
So like the Rare Groove collection.
Yeah. Like now, my 45 collection is pretty solid now. I've got about 250 45s.
So you're gonna end up playing like a do-over show or something?
I've been playing like parties and just playing 45s. I haven't really announced that I do it, but I've been doing it. It's been amazing.
There's a good crew in LA that does like outdoor.
That's what I've heard.
Do-over, they do.
Okay.
They're sponsored by Adidas as well.
That's what I've heard. Oh, that's cool. I should check into that.
You should reach for
That'd
sure.
That'd be really cool. And then just like my disco collection, like it's crazy. I can't believe how many like great disco records I have.
So when you say great disco collection, do you mean that you could actually compete or hang with Barry Weaver on that?
I can't hang with Barry. Nobody can hang with Barry. Nobody can touch his record collection,
especially disco.
It's. Well, you remember I told you he came and played a party at my house.
No,
I had a party at my house, like an underground disco party at my house, and we staged the whole thing. There was a huge like record behind him when he was playing, and it said Donna Hummer, I Feel Love. And it was an actual record scanned in, and it just changed the S, H to S. And he played about 4 hours, just underground disco, like flawlessly. Yeah. And the whole house, like upstairs and downstairs, was packed and going off. Like and it was just crazy. Did
you tape it?
We did. Somebody was supposed to be taping it and it never got recorded. This is my only regret. But it was like everybody in the house was at school. Everybody was just getting schooled. Every single track would have a sample. Everybody constantly like, what is that? What is that? What is that? What is that? And Frankie's
just sweating behind the desk.
Yeah, he's just rocking it. He's like, this is just what I do. And then Frankie Bones showed up, and that was crazy because he was like, I heard you having a disco party. I brought some records. I was like, oh, bring it. Like, you know what I mean?
He sells loads of his on a buddy of mine buys them on Facebook groups.
He does. He just actually came to my house recently and like brought me a bunch of records that I was looking for, which was cool. Yeah. But yeah, Barry was amazing, and I could never even imagine like trying to touch his collection. I mean, he's still got
original 45s and 12s.
He's just got the most insane collection I've ever seen. But at this point, I'm not trying to get any more records. I'm just trying to get the right records.
So what's the one record you've been looking for? Because everyone's got one or two that they're just walking by a record store. Oh, I just gotta go check and see if there's one.
Still to this day, I'm still looking for a really clean version of Munich Machine, Get on the Funk Train.
Okay.
That was a disco record that Giorgio Moroder had a part in. That I actually played last night in Halifax. Wow. I actually went into 4 original disco records in my set last night and got away with it.
Really?
I mean, I don't know if it's because the place was so packed and they couldn't go anywhere, but I mean, I got away with it. And then I went into some other stuff. Like I think that's the cool thing for me at this point now is that I've realized I can get away with whatever I want, you know, and not doing it in a way that I'm like not caring about the dance floor and just being selfish, but in a way that, I can now share my knowledge and say, okay, I want people to hear some of these records that actually influenced these other producers in these other records, and that's the cool thing. It's like to be able to pull out some of these original disco records. People recognize the samples, but they're like, there's this whole other story going on.
The newer generation. When I say younger, but I mean the newer generation, they don't even like. I've heard guys that have played records with Public Enemy samples in them.
Yeah.
And I'd play them the actual James Brown record that they sampled from.
Right.
And they'd be like, "Oh, that's that whatever record." And I go, "Actually, no, they sampled Public Enemy, and Public Enemy sampled this guy. So it's like generation removed."
Right. There are Public Enemy sampled James Brown?
Why would James Brown sample Public Enemy?
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah. At Burning Man a few years ago, this was so funny. I heard these guys walking by this drum and bass camp. And, I've always loved drum and bass, too. Yeah. I have a pretty good, collection of drum and bass myself. But these guys are walking by the drum and bass area, and they're like, "Oh, wow, this is kind of like dubstep, but faster." I just wanted to slap the shit out of them. Oh, you little fuckers. It's not.
Have you ever played a drum and bass set at someone's house party, or just like...
I have it with Terry. Do you remember that time there was a Funky Techno Tribe party? You'll like this. There was a Funky Techno Tribe party that this guy showed up, this DJ from New York, who I won't mention his name. And he showed up and he was being a punk-ass bitch. And so Terry's like, okay, this guy's going to go on next, but he's being a dick. So why don't we play some drum and bass? I was like, yeah, sure. So we went into we started tag teaming drum and bass records and slapped him with that.
Oh, nice.
And that was the only time I've ever played it out, but it was a great moment to play it out.
Yeah. And how did it go over? Like a lead
no, the crowd was not exactly happy that we went there because that's not what they were expecting from us.
Yeah, totally.
But, however, that's something that we felt we needed to share with him.
Yeah. And it kind of worked out.
And it worked out, and we got to play together drum and bass, so it was cool.
How was Burning Man? I've heard a lot of complaints from different people that have gone over the years. And I guess the same thing with anything that kind of grows up over time.
Yeah.
It's not like it used to be.
I mean, well, no, it's not like it used to be, but nothing's like it used to be. I mean, what in the world do we have that's like it used to be?
Well, we don't want things to stay the same.
We don't want things to stay the same. If everything constantly stayed the same, you'd come back with another complaint saying, yeah, it's really stagnant. It's just the same. Yeah. I wouldn't 100%. Want it to stay the same. Yeah. The thing is, every single thing you've heard about Burning Man is probably true. Yes, has some of the music gotten shit? Yes. Have there been these turnkey camps where they're like, high-end bougie people who fly straight in and are spoiled? Yeah, sure. But is all the other stuff cool too, where you've got these amazing art cars, this amazing art, amazing groups of people to hang out with, like killer music? You got to go to the right places and hang out with the right people. I don't
take it all in.
I don't see the ugly side of Burning Man because I don't hang out in that area.
Yeah.
And I'll do 3 parties a day. Like this time I did a mid-tempo breaks and old school hip hop set in one party. Then I went and played
like a tribute to James Brown.
Yeah, like a tribute to James Brown. I did that at one party. Then I went and played an all disco set at another party. Sick. And then that night I went and played at a techno party. And it was all in one day. And you can do that there and still run into a lot of the same people that appreciate it and not run into, cheesy people or whatever. But, it's just like anything else. If you go to the right places and hang with the right crews, you'll have a great time. Are there those people out there that, a friend of mine made a joke. It was so funny. He goes, Dan, do you realize the bros have snuck in? And they're incognito. They've snuck in, but now they're just wearing fur coats to fit in. I was like, no! It's true! The bros are here in fur!
Yeah. This isn't like Coachella at all, bro.
Yeah.
Bro.
Do you even bro?
Yeah.
Bro, Coachella was so much cooler, bro.
Yeah.
A friend of mine called me. He goes, because there was this one camp that had it had every offensive type of music that we personally don't like, and every type of offensive artist that we also don't like.
Okay.
And he called me. He goes, right before we get into Burning Man, we should go get a couple of live fish, and then get out there or fish. And then bury them right around their camp.
Oh, no.
I'm like, no, I wouldn't do that. It was funny, though. It was funny.
Dirty fuckers.
I know, right? We're like, wow, this camp is funky.
So if you had like a time machine and you were going to jump back in time from, say, for example, being at the last EDC.
Yeah.
Which was, how many people did they end up putting through there?
Oh man, I don't even know. I mean, it's
a
like
sea of.
It's like it feels like a couple 100,000. I don't know.
Where does that happen?
I don't know. It's
so a time
insane.
machine back to one of his first shows, because you've had a long history with him, right?
Yeah.
And actually, over the years, he's kind of like picked you to do special things.
Yeah.
To celebrate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was Electric Daisy Carnival.
Right.
That's what it stands for, right?
EDC.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
All I remember is him from Insomniac when we were trying to do our connected parties. Do you remember when we used to do our parties?
Right.
For our anniversary, and we were trying to loop him into it. It didn't work out. But everybody that I know really likes the guy, and I know that you have a good history with him.
Yeah.
What the fuck is it like playing for? Like, it's probably the more educated crowd of all the bigger festivals happening in North America, right?
I mean, it depends on where you go. Again, it's like you have, there's so many different stages.
Well, he's trying to keep he's trying to keep the cutting edge music. Like the underground guys.
He's doing a good job at making sure that there is a space for everyone.
Yeah.
And not really alienating anybody, which is cool.
Yeah.
I personally feel like the production level at some of the bigger stages is probably some of the most amazing production I've ever seen. I wish we
stuff you would have dreamt up like on steroids.
It's just like if I could imagine taking that back to some of the earlier parties.
That's what I was going to say.
That technology,
take from there and take a time machine back.
I don't even think people could handle it back then. Now I think their heads would just explode. Because even I will go to those areas and I'll just be watching the production, and it's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so, there's that. And then what's coming next? When we worked with him on that Night Owl project, it was basically like an hour mix where, we chose the tracks and then mixed them together and then threw in like a lot of old school samples and like did a bunch of tricks and stuff. And then choreographed it to a light show and the dancers and like a sort of having the girls like come out in costumes. It was the most insane thing I'd ever been a part of. And then to see it live in action in front of like 70,000 people, and it was just a pre-recorded mix that we did with him. Yeah. It was probably one of the coolest things I've ever done, because it was like,
that's balls when someone's like, let's just do this project.
Yeah, it was, and I remember Pasquale called me and he's like, okay, I love the mix. Everything's almost done, but we need more, Dan. I was like, okay. So we added some scratching and
at least you knew
some more samples. But to be standing there with 70,000 people, not actually DJing, but just listening to this mix that we did, choreographed, it just reminded me like, wow, it's kind of like Cirque du Soleil on crack or something. It was so twisted.
Did they video that?
They did, yeah. The only thing they did, which was really weird, at the end, one of the crew like kind of like freaked out and thought that the crowd would trip out if they didn't have somebody up there. So they put these two girls up there in masks, and it looked as if there was two DJs up there playing, but there were not. They were just up there like, dancing. And that I think wasn't necessary, because it left a lot of people walking away going, were they playing? Was that, and they're like, oh, is it Daft Punk? It's always, is it Daft Punk? But it's like that was the only thing that was kind of a distraction, because it didn't need to be anybody up there. It was the mix was what it was. You know what I mean?
Well, it's kind of come a long way in many other ways too. Where I remember when Chemical Brothers first came out and they started doing live shows. They started off with like the whole concept really was the rock world mentality was, people are going to get bored watching guys twist knobs.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
And then there's going to be a video screen. And they actually pulled it off, and they did a really good job. And it's kind of like, where's it going to go from here?
Yeah.
Ultimately, how are you going to put this in front of, how's this going to grow? And it's where we are now, where you've got a guy like Deadmau5 who's putting up a couple $1 million for his own production, innovations, or whatever you want to call it, and taking it on tour with him, to guys like, Tiesto kind of filled the gap as well in the stadium commercial dance music scene. I was going to say rave, but it's not even rave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're kind of left with this situation where guys aren't even playing, really. They're kind of having pre-recorded sets, so that all the production and the value can everything go along with it.
Right.
It's not a matter of, it's just when it's trying to be passed off as a live performance.
Yeah.
When it's clearly not.
And there's a lot of money involved in that as well, too.
That's the thing. It's kind of like the money just got so big that the talent got left out. And you mentioned this earlier, and this is one of the things I thought we would talk about. Is that you don't name names, but like, everybody has their expectations of where things can go.
Yeah.
And everybody's done their work. You know what I mean? Everybody's pulled the cart, pushed it. Yeah. You sat in the cart for a while. Other people pulled it. You came for a day, came for some time. And you're saying ups and downs. But there's not a lot of guys still left that were around back in the day and pushing their sound. Even though this big commercial sound is like going off, and it's kind of like a lottery, but one you actually have a say in, where you can go out and just produce music like that, shoot it out, put your name on it, and if it hits, it hits. Yeah. Either way, just keep doing it. It's like a formula, right? Yeah. And the next thing you know, you're in the big money wheel. Like, you know what I mean? Getting carted around. Or you can cultivate your own sound, something you believe in, like you've been doing, and pushing forward and keeping the underground alive, but actually moving forward. Yeah, not taking requests.
No, it's true.
That story.
I know, right? It's so crazy.
Tell him that story, because he doesn't know that story.
Oh, the story, and then we got to get back to that point.
Oh, I know.
The story, I was in Baltimore, and I was playing, and the place was packed, and it was my really hardcore underground crowd there. And I was playing, and this girl kept coming up and requesting some bullshit. And I was like, I kind of laughed it off. You know what I mean? I was just kind of like, okay, whatever. And then she came around again, and she came around where there was these stairs where you go down. I went down a couple stairs. She asked me again. I said, I don't have that. It's not that kind of night, And then she comes.
Don't take requests.
She comes back again with this dude, right? And I'm thinking, oh, this dude, he seemed pretty mellow. And I was like, can you please tell her that I don't play that bullshit? I don't, and he goes, you need to show some respect. You need to play what she wants to play. I said, I don't have to do shit. And then he tried to fucking punch me in the face. So I went running up the stairs, and he came running after me. So I just shut the music off, and my friend stepped in between us. I just shut the music off and pointed him out. I'm like, this dude's about to punch me because I won't play his girl's stupid request. And it everybody booed at him, and it became I had no idea it was going to go viral, but my friend videotaped. He came in from New York. He had it on his phone.
Right, eh?
It was crazy.
I mean, the YouTube's the channel. It's on YouTube right now.
Yeah, it was crazy, and so because I think I get so comfortable in going and playing gigs where I think it's just my crowd. Yeah. I'm not used to that, and I think that's why it was so shocking, especially to have somebody almost physically attack me, because I don't think he was used to having a DJ say, hell no, I'm not going to do that shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's what I was like. I may have been a little sassy, and I'm sure it probably pissed him off, but I'm not used to that.
Well, it's not, your job's not to show up and listen to what people want to hear.
No, exactly.
So you're there,
but the thing is that
chugging along.
That neighborhood is really popular with a lot of bars and stuff. I think these two just stumbled into the wrong club, and I think they just couldn't figure out why I wasn't cooperating. You know what I mean? And that's why I was like, this is not, it is what it is. But, I did learn that I need to be a little bit more mellow, because afterwards I was a little freaked out, because I've never actually physically been hit before. Yeah. I've never actually been hit before, especially not by my brother, but not in this underground environment. I never thought that could ever happen.
It's the opposite.
So now when I get requests, I'm a little bit more mellow about it, because it could have been crazier. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but
well, even with something like that happening, you still kept your head down, pushed your own sound.
Yeah, exactly.
Against the grain in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and that's what I've done. I just at this point, I've been doing this since '91, and at this point, I'm going to continue to do exactly what I want to do, and I'm not going to compromise, because I don't need to. Yeah. And even if my sound is more popular at times than others, that's my sound. And I learned that from people like Derek Carter.
Oh yeah.
And Danny Tenaglia. It's like you have to be true to your sound and what your story is. We're all here for a reason. And I feel that my reason is to push my sound and to make people happy through what it is that makes me happy. You know, it's like, what were my hardships? What makes me happy? How do I express it through the music? Well, that's why I'm here, to put that out to people. And, you know, that's why a lot of times I'll go back and I'll play older tracks, because the way it makes me feel, if it made me feel this way, how it would make other people feel. You know, at this point, for me not to share my history with the music would be a crime, you know. And I think it's, like you mentioned, that there's a lot of DJs that started doing this when I did it, and they're not around. I mean, I'd say 95% of them are not around. And it's sad, because a lot of them are extremely talented. And I say are because they still are extremely talented, but you know, they couldn't deal with the politics of this whole thing. And there are a lot of politics in this thing. And there is a lot of stuff to deal with. I mean, you know, do you not think I have people working with me? Of course I do. You know, my label is one of the highest selling house labels on Beatport. But do you think I don't deal with politics and drama all the time? Yep. You know, and I fight to keep my label strong. You know, I fight to keep my artists. I fight to make sure that they're taken care of. You know, there's so much stuff in the background that I do that I don't talk about to make sure that I'm in a position that I'm in. You know, and like I said, I've had highs and lows, but my main goal is to remain constant. You know, it's like, I don't want to go so high that I'm like, that I just disappeared tomorrow. I want to kind of remain, you know, in that groove. And so far I've been able to.
Right?
Yeah, and so far I've been able to, you know.
So you fought to keep a lot of artists, but you also have fought to find some too, right?
Oh
so
yeah, I mean, I don't put stuff out by artists that are already established. I go after artists that are new and up and coming.
Is that so you can get their music for super cheap? Or
well, no, it's because I don't want to sound like anybody else. I don't
bring something new out. Right?
Yeah, I don't want to go and put out music that, you know, you can hear on other labels. I want InStereo to sound like InStereo,
and it does.
You know, yeah, thank you.
I mean, for sure it does.
You know, you know, if people send me demos, most of the stuff I get that I release is usually referrals through friends.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the best way.
Well, you're the best A&R guy, because you're traveling constantly.
Yeah, and that's one thing I'm very proud of. I am a good A&R guy, and that's for InStereo. I am the only A&R person. Like, everything that goes through on the label is 100% through me. And it's just got to have a certain sound. Even if you know, I'll go in tangents and go off and play techno or you know, like funky house or whatever. No matter what my mood is, like, even if it's a different style, if it's tech house, whatever, I want it to sound like me. I want it to sound like something I would play in my DJ sets. But I also want it to be something that, you know, people can get excited about, and maybe a new up and coming artist, you know, and because I really enjoy watching artists grow, you know, and I'll even tell them, like, look, you know, you're doing really well. I think you should put out a record on Tool Room. Yeah, you know, like, I'm open to that. You know, I put out my last album on my label, but, you know, I also put out a couple tracks on Tool Room. You know, it's like, people go, why would you do that at your own label? Why not? Yeah. You know, share the love and share the exposure. And you know, it isn't all about, you know, keeping everything to yourself and being ego driven. It's like, let's spread this stuff out. You know what I mean?
So DJ Dan and Friends.
Yeah.
So, hugely successful.
Yeah.
Did it turn out to be as big as you expected?
It did.
When you got the final project together, because looking at the project, I haven't talked to you about it before, but it looks like you had a concept.
Yeah.
And you picked out everybody that you wanted to work with. Yeah. And you got them on an album. Yeah. Now, is there anybody that you wanted to that you couldn't get on there for reasons you can't talk about? Like, you know, I want to hear them, of course, but also for reasons because the labels weren't letting each other cross-pollinate, or just guys weren't interested?
I definitely thought I was going to run into a problem with being cock-blocked by labels, but I wasn't. I only had a problem with one artist that, like, every single person I went to and asked if they wanted to work with me, they did.
Yeah.
I didn't get turned down by anybody. I did have one person just not come through, and I still to this day take it very personally. I have to admit, because I'm not, you know, it's like, I've been doing this for a long time, and, you know, if Danny Tenaglia or Carl Cox came to me and said, let's collaborate, here's my deadline, you know for a fact I would miss sleep to take care of them and to make sure that we had it done. Because it's not about, I don't want to work with people because it's going to boost me up. I mean, most of the people on there that I collaborated with are people that don't even play out as much as me.
Yeah.
I just did it because I picked certain people that I like their sound, I like their concept, and I knew what we could do together.
And it's a good match.
Right? You know, and it's a good match. So yeah, there was only one person that didn't come through, and yeah, it kind of bummed me out. But you know, that's going to happen. You know, there's like 12 other artists that did come through,
which is amazing, right?
Yeah.
And you know, and that sound, you know, that track, that was an afterthought. Like we were like, the album's already done. I'm like, I still want to sample this record. Let's do it. You know, it was done in a couple days. And I mean, honestly, I don't even think it was mixed down 100%, but we just had to get it on there.
Yeah.
And that track went to sell like 6,000 copies, you know, 6,000 downloads. So this album, I'd say for the past 3 albums, this album has probably sold more in terms of numbers, but not necessarily for the entire album versus like track sales.
Singles.
So, you know, I have to say, is looking back, like it's crazy to think, because it's the first time, like starting 3 albums ago, was when I decided to put out my album myself on my label.
Yeah,
that was a big risk, but it's paid off because now we get to monitor the profits and the licensing and all of that stuff, and it's definitely been the way to go. And I'll probably do my next album on my label again.
And you guys you collab with also, you get taken care of properly.
Yeah,
you're not having to fight someone to get money to pay them off.
And it's easy. They're like, hey, how are the sales with the thing? I'm like, here's the Beatport report. Yeah. Here's this. Here's that. Here's your cut. Boom. That's it. You know, we don't have managers in the middle dealing with bullshit. You know, that's another thing, man. Managers, man, what a con game. Like in this since I've been DJing, I've had about 5 different managers, and I tell you, like the best manager I've ever had has been me.
Yeah.
When I decide to go with a manager and I decide to take my eye off the ball because I want them to do it, things don't always go well. But I know for a fact, if I know what I'm doing, I know what my direction is, I know what I want. If you call up a label or an A&R person at, like, you know, at Warner Brothers or whatever, and you say, man, I really love this artist, I really want to do this remix. If you've developed a direct connection with them, chances are you'll get the remix, even on spec. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. That's what managers do, but they're taking 15% of your entire earnings. And I remember there were times that I'd be writing $6,000 checks to managers each month. And all they ever did was say, okay, that looks good. Yeah, sure, that looks good. That sounds good. You know, I'm like, where is my licensing from this cartoon or this or that? You know, like where are you making your money? You know, and usually managers, you know, and that's the thing that sucks about it for a lot of these new artists. In order to get on a big agency, you have to have a manager, even if the manager is just sitting back collecting checks. You know, and I'm not saying all managers are shit, but I'd say the majority of them get really comfortable not doing fuck all.
And it gets pretty real too.
Yeah, it does.
Especially in a place like Miami, which is geez Louise. How different is that now? The Winter Music Conference joke.
Oh my
compared to what is any business actually getting done except for like the top 3 money earners?
There's no business getting done there.
It's a big show.
That's why I stopped going. I didn't go last year. I might go this year. But I didn't go last year. Just kind of protest it. I was just
Did you take a knee?
Huh?
You took a knee?
No. I usually I'll do the Beatport guest house InStereo. Like we join forces and do a party. And last year we both decided to take it off.
There's a conversation to have right there.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. That was probably the first. You'd be doing it the first night of the conference. Is that when you guys would open up at Stereo?
Oh yeah, did you go to one of those?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good parties, right?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Back then, we're talking.
Back when
when the war first started kicked off in the States, when the very first bomb dropped in Iraq. Then, because I remember watching that in my hotel room, like watching the bomb, and then okay, it's time to go out. So it was way back then. So we're talking about 2004?
That was when that wasn't a guest house thing. I think that was an AM only party.
Would have made sense.
It could have been. Yeah, it could have been an AM only party. But yeah, I definitely played it. I remember when that happened, and I was in a taxi going, "Oh my god, what's going on?
It's happening. It's going on.
This is crazy." Yeah.
So, how have things been dealing with Beatports? How have they changed over time? Because like that was a pretty big deal when they actually sold Beatport and things transitioned over. And I remember actually when he started Beatport, as you would do as well. And I remember we had an internet radio show up here we were doing called Dirty House Music. You sent many mixes up.
Yeah.
We were plugging on there and just on our flyers and stuff around town. And to see it blow up to how big it, like almost literally overnight, how it went from doing well to just being standard in the industry.
Totally.
Right? Like Deadmau5 wouldn't be around if it wasn't for Beatport.
No, not at all.
Not in the capacity he is now.
And I mean, to be honest with you, I never saw it coming. I mean, because and it was even hard for me to let go of my records. You know, it was like when I finally realized that I needed to go all digital and just, you know, stop buying records. Like that was really tough because there was a romantic attachment to it.
For sure.
You know what I mean? There was this like. I was like, I had to break up with my records on the road.
It took you a long time to do it, though.
It took me a long time. Like, even if, like, there was a really hot track that I wanted and I would play it on CD, I'd bring it to the club, I'd play it on CD. But I remember looking at the CD when I was playing and looking at people dancing, and it was almost as if the music wasn't happening. I was like, the music isn't really happening because there's no record spinning. And I remember, you know, as soon as I would find out when that track would come out on vinyl, and as soon as it came on vinyl, I'd order the record and dump the CD.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was like, you know, and then I was like, wow, I have to do that in reverse. I have to, like, you know, start thinking, you know, I have to transfer these tracks and put everything digitally. I mean, that was rough. I remember.
So I guess you're not losing your records on a plane like you've done.
No, I mean, that's the great thing. It's like I just show up with my flash drives and I have, in fact, I have probably half my record collection transferred off of vinyl onto these flash drives. And they actually probably sound better on the flash drives because they still have that vinyl sound, and I've been able to, you know, take out all the clicks and pops and maximize the shit out of it. So now they sound even better. You know, I'm not saying that you could ever replace vinyl because Lord knows you couldn't, and it's still holding up my entire house in my basement. You know what I mean? I've still got thousands and thousands of records, but you know, it's nice to see the vinyls, you know, coming back in fashion again too. Yeah. Like Ron DeCor, his store is doing really well.
Yeah, I see his stuff on Instagram.
You know, he's doing really well. You know, it may not be with a lot of house and techno, but you know, he sells like his hardcore stuff, which the hardcore guys are really loyal to vinyl, and a lot of the indie people are really.
Here is huge for vinyl.
Yeah, so
like indie music wise, opposed to electronic.
Nice.
Music or the EDM. So, what's your take on EDM? Then we'll just cut to the chase on the whole thing. Is it a blessing? Is this? Are we looking at, when I say we, just guys in a room who've been involved in the scene for as long as all of us have in one way or another, kind of watching it preparing to burst or deflating like a balloon? Or is it going to be like disco what happened in New York when they filled stage with people to burn and smash records?
You know, I don't even know. Like, it's so weird, and I don't know if I should feel bad about saying this, but I really don't even know what's going on with it because I just am so disconnected from the EDM world. I don't know what's going on in the EDM world. Because I'm so doing in my own parties and working with promoters that only do house and techno. I do look at it like this, though. You know, there's a lot of people that get angry about EDM, and there's a lot to be angry about it. It can really pluck a nerve, you know. Yeah. However, it's like, you know, you have to look at it like, you know, do I sit there and say, oh, country music is so stupid? No, I don't have a right to throw stones at country music because I'm not into country music. EDM to me is country music. Why should I sit there and diss on EDM when I just don't understand it? I don't understand it, therefore I don't have a judge on it at all. I'm just going to stick to what I do, and EDM can stick to what it does.
Stick to your lane.
I feel like it's like EDM is like vacation music, you know, for like college people, and you know it's festival music. And then, you know, there's that, and then there's dance music, which is house and techno, which people dance to.
Okay.
There's dance, and then there's jumping music. Festival music you jump to.
Why did it turn from dancing to jumping?
House music and techno you dance to. EDM you jump to.
Yeah. Okay,
different things.
Here's the thing, though. You're hoping that one day, we all do at one point, is that there's going to be a graduation phase where they kind of grow out of that music, but they discover good music, and then try and track
I think they're there. I think they're getting there.
Someday it's going to happen, but you know, you're starting to see local clubs like
Flamingo,
Coda, and Nest. They're getting good, solid crowds out. and they're all functioning at the same time.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, cool.
Where it wasn't happening like that in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there's kind of like a sleight of hand happening here where you've got like complete commercial music. That's just what it is, formula music. That's what I think of EDM, right?
It is, yeah.
And it's like Britney Spears stuff from back in the day, except it's just different faces and whatnot now. It's just commercial producers, right?
Yeah.
They're just younger and dressing different now. And they have different labels on them. But there's also a bleed off of that. And what they're labeling as house music is not fucking house music as we know it to be.
Right.
It's complete commercial garble.
Right.
But you've got people running around saying, I don't listen to EDM, I'm into house music. I'm like, oh, wicked. Like, you're like, Derek Carter's in town. You want to go check him out?
Yeah.
Why, who?
I know. No,
Thomas Jack or
that is
no
true.
diss to this guy. I don't know him personally. But
no, that is true. They'll say, no, I'm into house. And then you listen to what they consider house. Now, and the thing is, but that, again, we really have to take a look at that. Remember when there was freestyle electro, like Egyptian Lover, like All Nafish, that whole, like, the breaking community, that sound, Kraftwerk, that was called electro at that time. Then when electro, like Dead Mouse came along, it was electro. It's like, okay, which electro are you talking about? This is something that just always happens over
but
time.
But I think that's one for electro clash, though.
Do you not think that they had these conversations when, rock and roll started morphing into like blues and all this other stuff, or like that's not real rock, or that's not, it's the same thing over and over.
Hip hop as well too, I guess.
Yeah, hip hop as well.
Deep house.
Deep house. And again, great one. Deep house.
That's what I was
saying. If you were to go
tropical house,
I remember when I first moved to LA. When I first moved to LA, my friend was like, "Oh, we're gonna go to this club called Catch One," and we went in there, and this was deep house.
Yeah.
This shit. These bitches were serious. This was all gospel. I will take you to church all day long. Like flutes and pianos. Deep, deep house. Yeah. Like from that sound, from what I heard from them, to people say that a lot of this bass stuff, with deep bass notes is deep house. Yeah. These bitches would have stabbed you. Yeah. They would have killed you at the stake to say that was deep house. Yeah. Same thing again, but it's like it is what it is. That's a good point. That's always going to happen. Yeah. It's always going to happen.
The evolution of music.
It's so frustrating though. Maybe it's my own fault because I'm older. I'm in my 40s now, and I date 20-year-old, like mid-20-year-old girls.
Well, you've always dated younger girls since I've been.
So when they're coming over and they're not putting a CD or putting a record on, that happens over time. All of a sudden, we've got like plugged their iPod in, and it's like, let's dance to some deep house. Yeah. I'm just like, what the fuck is this? This isn't house. And I pull out my records, I put on deep house. They go, this is really good. What is this?
Yeah.
Well,
what do you mean? What is this? This is deep house.
Yeah.
This is Cascade?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, yeah, actually, Cascade used to make
really good deep house.
Really good.
Well,
oh, my God.
I don't know if it's deep, but
not that that's just not what I like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he used to make some really good records.
Yeah.
And I was shocked at that, but that's one of the guys I wanted to bring up the conversation. You've known him for a long time.
Yeah.
He seems like actually, I have met him over the years, come to think of it. He used to play at Footwork.
Yeah.
Which, it holds a couple hundred people, 250, I think, and they were. It's a smash show.
I love Footwork, yeah.
And now the guy can't. Like, he can't play. What does he do in L.A.? Like, L.A., he does a surprise gig and there's 10,000 people in the street.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? He's one of the biggest.
Cascade,
remember
because he flipped the script on her?
Yeah, he just grew with the times, man. He was one of the guys that was his thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't know if he helped evolve that sound, and that's one of the things I really wanted to ask you about, just to get the perspective on all that. And now we get to the point where, how did the sound go from what was going on before to where it is now, that EDM sound? And Cascade, are guys like that responsible, or did they help develop the sound and then a commercial producers got a hold of it and just cheesed it out more?
Here's what I think happened, in terms of, and I can only gauge it on what happened in America. And, in a lot of the influence of EDM sound, like pushing so big, really a lot of the results were from America. A lot of these artists.
Or Dutch.
Or the Dutch, yeah, absolutely. I think what happened is as it got more and more popular, those like rave synth sounds, those big sounds, like became more and more enticing, and people started seeing these big crowds, and the more intense it got and the more blown out it got, the more response it got. And I think a lot of these DJs and producers were like, let's see how far we can push it. Let's just keep it going and pushing and pushing and pushing to get a bigger and bigger response. Because you can't go up there with a crowd of 20,000 people and play a funky house record and expect people to go ballistic.
No.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what happened, they were like, more horns, more this, more everything. And I think it just came to a point, it was like, fuck it, throw everything, including the kitchen sink. And I think it just came to a point where it was like, because I've even gone out into those crowds and listened, and I thought to myself, wow, all the sound and all this big instruments are necessary to fill up this area, to make it sound festive. It's a festival. Mm-hmm. If they were only playing like super drummy tracks and trying to be trippy, you're not going to get that you're not going to get that same response. So,
it's software?
Well, that's the thing. And with every generation, every turn and twist of technology, as the technology changes and as synths change, so does the music. Yeah. You know what I mean? I know for a fact, James Brown, probably let's say not Prince, because he was always creating his own stuff. I don't even want to mention any of these artists because they deserve more respect than to be saying they're just playing keyboards. Anybody's sound back in the day, let's say the Gap Band, their sound would have been much different if they had the new keyboards of today.
What about New Order? Same thing.
New Order, same thing.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Their sound would have been much different had they had the keyboards of today. And can you say, oh, that's a bad thing? Not really. It is what it is, So I look at the whole EDM thing like, as it grew, the sound needed to be bigger and bigger and bigger, and it got bigger.
Just more and more over the top.
More and more and more over the top, and that was what it took to get a response. And as it happened, that became the norm. Then when you went, you expected that,
Plus production.
You expected that level of over the topness. And I mean, even the mix downs on that stuff. If you look at it, like when you look at a good mix down on something that looks nice, you'll see it have space and air in between.
And a wave file, you mean?
Yeah, in a wave file, yeah. If you look at a lot of the EDM stuff, it looks like a digital sausage because it is so blown out and smashed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
I do, actually.
And so it's like when you look at that, because it has to be loud and bigger and bigger. So that's, I think, how it kind of happened and got to that point. And if you wanted to compete in that arena, you kind of had to go there.
So, let me ask you this. We have 5 minutes left.
You got to go to dinner.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And your dinner date. Your dinner's in 5 minutes, by the way.
If you had a choice.
In 5 minutes?
You said 7:30?
Oh, 7:45.
Okay. Oh, we got time then. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you had a choice between playing a ginormous, say, Tomorrowland main stage, or playing at one of the more legendary, darker, seedier clubs for as long as you wanted, which one would you want? So would it be different now than it would have been a few years ago?
I used to think I wanted to be in the big, huge arena, and for many years I was. Now I prefer to be in the darker, more underground club. It's just more rewarding for me.
So you can play what you want.
I can play what I want and get away with what I want, and I can certainly hold my own in a big arena.
Oh, for sure.
But if I'm to choose, I would definitely choose the more underground setting. Like I said last night, in Halifax, I played disco, I played funk, I even went into an old hip hop record. Like, I played everything across the board, and they listened because they were involved in an environment that was just about my sound.
Yeah.
There were records that, even references of, original disco records of tracks that I played that sampled these records, and, it was like an entire environment of my sound. And so I could get away with murder. If I was to do that in a big arena and just be that random, it wouldn't go over as well. You know what I mean? You got to have. It's almost like having an intimate cocktail party at your house.
Yeah, sure.
You can have crazy conversations or pull out the funniest shit. And everybody's laughing. I personally prefer that.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have you fallen off the CD stage when you're jumping up and down and taking your shirt off and waving?
I've fallen off the stage when I'm stage diving probably about 30 times. I like to take my bra off and snap it at people while I play.
I remember the one time you sprained your knee. It was weird too because those Yeezys blew right out. Yeah, brand new Yeezys is neat.
Yeah, and because I tried this,
right out.
I tried this new thing where I wanted to do somersaults over the crowd's heads and just like flip off everybody's heads.
That's one thing I still can't. I don't get at all. Is that why you stand on the CD players and I don't. You know what? Maybe.
Well, it's
maybe I'm more traditional.
Well, you know what though? Again, that's just another personal preference. It's like, for me, the DJ that inspired me the most growing up was this guy Randy Schlager. And I used to go to this club and I used to watch this guy play. And he was a resident at this club called the Underground. And he would play from 9 o'clock until 2 in the morning. And he would go into so many different styles, but mix so flawlessly. And he would never look up. He would never look up. He was just so focused and so on it. And you'd be on that dance floor and he had that fucking floor locked down. He knew his floor. And I would just watch him and be like, man, that is cool. That is sexy. That is so fucking dope. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted to be like that. And so for me, like Yano, I love Yano. When you watch Yano, he'll have the crowd doing floor flips. But when you look at him, he's really focused. He's got his shit under control, but he's jacking the shit out of it. And that, to me, that is sexy. So when I started seeing people, jumping off the stage and stuff, I was like, that is so not sexy. What are you doing?
What's next?
I was like, every single thing I thought was cool is not. It's not happening. So, it's...
And that's the thing. The scene used to be so cool. It was like exclusive. Yeah. Kind of growing. And it was just like, you don't know about this DJ, but wait till you hear him. And you're converted at the end of that. And you learn. Everybody grows and learns. Exchanges. Now it's a frat house party in a festival scene feel, which is great. But at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, and again, just like we were talking about, they're two different things.
Well, how do you feel about Vegas residencies?
Vegas residencies, I mean, on one end it's kind of cool because you got people that want to come in to see you and you don't have to leave Vegas. That's kind of cool. I don't know how long that's going to last,
There's a lot of money being thrown around.
There's a lot of money being thrown around there. And, but it's also interesting, like the management game we were talking about. Yeah. A lot of these guys who have these residencies, in order to get these contracts done for these residencies, you have to have, there's one lawyer in particular that usually like strikes these deals, and he's paid 10% commission. Their managers are paid 15%. They also got to pay, there's about 5 different people they have to pay, so they need to make that kind of money to even walk away with, about, money. I'd say at the end, and a lot of them, if they're international, they have 30% tax. Yeah. For them to walk away with 30% at the end, if they're lucky, is good. And that's why it's like, there's a lot of money, but there's also a lot of people with their hands in the pockets.
And that's how the scene in Toronto.
And, and that's why I'll say I feel so blessed because, in my career, when I was making my money, I had to pay one person 10 to 15% and then go home and, stockpile and put it in my house checks. And stockpile my checks. And invest in my investments and,
and rock parties. That's all.
Yeah. And now it's like, I'm certainly not, a rich man, but like I have enough money for myself to be set up, for the rest of my life. And I can do the gigs that I want to do and it's not based on fee.
And you can grow
I'm not pressured to have to make X amount of dollars to pay a manager, a lawyer, a tax accountant.
So what's next for Dan? We'll go out on this. What's next for Dan?
What's next? Well,
something that you can just what are you laying out for your plans? You have in the works? What's coming?
What I have in the works is I'm working on an alias. It's like more like a tech house, techno alias.
That's a good idea.
And I don't know what it's going to be called yet, but I'm working on it with my friend Ito.
Is that Cunty?
No, it's not Cunty. No, Cunty is a whole different project. Cunty is very bold and cutting edge. She's very cunning.
She got a name for the alias?
No, there's no name yet, but it's definitely going to be when you hear it, you'll know it's me. And it's my friend Ito. My friend Ito used to
do a track with him on.
Yeah, he's the one I did that sound with.
Yeah.
So he and I have about 7 tracks finished. And when we're finally finished, we're going to probably come up with a name. And to be honest with you, I don't even know if I'm going to put it out on InStereo. I want a completely different, alias.
Are you doing like a remix package, or are you just going to put them out?
We don't know yet. We don't know yet.
Maybe shop it around and see what they can.
So we'll probably shop it around, try to maybe, shop it to some like European labels. I don't know. I just kind of want it to be something very, very different. But when you hear it, you'll know it's me. Because I didn't hold back on sampling like I usually do. I just went for it.
Good for you.
So
I look forward to hearing that.
I can play some of the stuff. It's really good. I'll be playing
tonight.
I'll play some tonight as well.
Cool.
So that's on the horizon. And then what else? I don't know. Just trying to figure out what's next.
Yeah, just taking time, relaxing a bit now.
Just
keeping busy, obviously.
Keeping busy,
So what if I'm a new talent, I'm listening to the podcast, and I'm like, Dan, I'm a big fan, I want to reach out, I've been working on some tracks. How can I get them to you? It's a very important question.
Very important question. If you go to my website, if that's
DJdan.com.
DJdan.com, it'll tell you to either send it to Jason or there's another email at InStereo.
Okay.
And just Jason at DJdan.com or to the InStereo site.
So is that JAYSON?
JASON.
JASON at DJdan.com.
Yeah.
So what's your social media plugs that you got before we wrap this up?
What do you mean? Like
Instagram, Twitter,
Facebook,
social media.
Facebook.com/DJDanMusic. Twitter, same thing. It's all DJ Dan Music.
So at DJ Dan Music.
Yeah, DJ Dan Music.
DJ Dan Music.
Because somebody already took DJ Dan, so I have to be DJ Dan Music.
Well, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And your Instagram, and do you do Snapchat?
I don't, no. I think I have Snatch Chat. I just don't use it.
Oh, sorry, I meant Snatch Chat.
Yes, I have Snatch Chat.
Okay, so that's at DJ
it's a whole
Dan Music?
That's something that Cunty started.
Cunty, okay. I love partying with Cunty, by the way.
Oh, Cunty's...
Well, we'll see Cunty tonight.
You'll see Cunty tonight.
I'm sure I will, about 4 a.m.
Yeah. It's funny, Ito when the album came out, because I did that track with me and Cunty. Well, it was basically me doing a track with me. And Ito goes, man, he goes, that track you did with Cunty is dope. Like, that music's super techie. Like, who's Cunty? I said, oh, she lives next door. She's like, she comes over sometimes. She's all pissed off. She wants to work on music. She's like, I want to work on music now. Hold on, Cunty. Come in.
On that note, I'm Steve Bieler.
And this is Chad Cranston.
And our guest is...
And I'm DJ Dan.
And
thanks for stopping by, Dan.
This is the City Podcast. Yep. Peace.
That's it.